Hola, muy buenas noches. Mi nombre es Gregorio Lamping y soy el profesor de español de este año para su hijo. I just wanted to say first off that it's been wonderful having your sons back face to face in the classroom. I was a little bit trepidatious at the beginning of the year, but your sons have been extremely cooperative, and I think we're all feeling more comfortable with each other at this point, both because of the COVID and also because of the use of Spanish in class. I wanted to say that everything so far seems like it's been going very, very well. Thank you for sending them back to St. Xavier. Here at St. X, we're all about the graduate at graduation. You've probably seen this document many, many times. The first characteristic that I would like to go over is being intellectually competent. I don't think that there is anything that can help you to grow more intellectually and academically than learning a foreign language in a classroom. It's so artificial. They have to pretend like I don't speak English. I have to pretend like they don't speak English at times. And it just becomes a real challenge academically. And it also is something that allows you to become more open to growth. You have to think in a language that's not quite yet your own and take on customs for somebody that you might not be that familiar with. It allows you to grow in so many ways that other subjects just can't. To learn to speak another language well, you really begin to take on the characteristics of people from that language group. And in some ways, you develop a different personality. I know I feel different when I speak Spanish or Portuguese or some other language than I do when I'm speaking English. And I hope your sons get to that point where they begin to feel confident and maybe develop a personality that is more in line with the language that they're learning. Also, in the area of being religious, loving, and committed to doing justice. Here at St. X, in my class, we begin each class with a prayer. Oftentimes, this takes the form of a song. I play guitar, and most classes I'll begin with a song with the guitar that we sing together. Most of these songs have a religious theme, mostly about going out into the world and being present to others. I also am very involved in Hispanic ministry here at St. X, or actually in the Cincinnati area at St. Clement. And I will be giving students opportunities, if they so desire, to also help out in the Hispanic community. And if there are any musicians out there, I would really like some help. The next thing I'd like to talk about are the 5 C's of learning a language. The first one is communication. Obviously, learning how to speak another language is all about communication. You want to be able to communicate clearly and effectively with another person. It's also about learning the cultures. We want to be able to begin not only to just understand and be able to list out cultural things, but we want to incorporate them also into who we are. Maybe learn how to cook some things, and possibly even investigate travel and things of that nature, and trying to incorporate that into who we are. The next one is making connections. One of the things that I like to do in my class is try to connect to other disciplines. So that, for example, we might take a portion of the selectividad, for example, which is a sort of SAT or ACT that students in Spain might take. And so we might take a small section, say, of a biology test in Spanish and see how well your sons might do. It's also about making comparisons. I'm a language junkie. I've been learning languages since I was small. My first experience with Spanish was when I was 8 years old, and I spent a summer living in Colombia with my aunt. And so since then, language has been my hobby and has also been my profession. And so I've learned several languages over the years. And so at this point, I can easily and hopefully clearly compare how different languages work. So we might look at how English works compared to Spanish, compared to Portuguese, compared to Russian, compared to German, compared to Chinese. And so we can kind of take a look at how language in general works and compare and see how well they understand language and culture for that matter. Then the other area is the area of communities. Obviously, we want your sons to be able to use their Spanish beyond the walls of St. Xavier. We want them to be able to go out into the community, whether it be through work or through some sort of community service or just in general in their daily lives, be able to use Spanish beyond the walls of St. X. I'm going to try to give students during this year opportunities to use their Spanish beyond the walls of St. X, either via virtual visits with other classrooms or possibly helping out in the Hispanic community here in Cincinnati. And then there are some foreign language essentials. I guess the first essential question is, will my son be able to speak Spanish when he leaves St. X? The short answer is, it depends. We will, by the end of the third year of Spanish, your son will have seen every grammar point that's necessary so that they would be able to say everything that they know how to say in English. They should be able to say it in Spanish, armed with a dictionary and enough time. So that the fourth year, if they should decide to go on, would be more focused on building speed, building confidence, and building length and sustainability into what they've learned. So the first 3 years are essentially building those blocks so that they can say everything that they know how to say in English, they should be able to say in Spanish, given enough time. And so the essential skills, obviously, would be learning how to speak, listen, how to write, and how to read in Spanish. You know, those are the essential skills. And then obviously there would also be grammar skills and vocab skills built into that. They'll have ample practice opportunity in this class to be able to build those skills. And I will be having regular discussions with your sons on how they feel that they're doing with those skills. We have a global assessment grid where they can kind of identify where they are and what their goals are and where they hope to be. And then the essential outcome is that students will be able to engage in extended discourse in the target language in the conversational, presentational, and interpretational modes. So we hope that your son will be able to pick up a newspaper, pick up a technical magazine, whatever it happens to be. I know people don't read too many newspapers anymore, but you know, whatever it happens to be, that they would be able to read it and understand it. Also, that they would be able to converse with people on things that are of interest to them and topics that would be generally understood by someone who's had maybe 3 or 4 years of a foreign language. We also hope that your sons would be comfortable enough to be able to give a presentation in Spanish. It's a good life skill to have, being able to stand up in front of a group of people and to be able to make a presentation, be it in English or Spanish or some other language. And so it's quite possible that at some point in your son's professional life, he might be called on to make a presentation either in English or in Spanish. And so he'll have opportunities here in my class in order to be able to practice those skills. Spanish at St. Xavier is really very strong. We have overwhelming numbers of students that are taking Spanish as opposed to the other languages. And we support that with a lot of technology. Currently, however, we're not able to use our language labs. We don't want students sharing keyboards, sharing headsets, microphones, that sort of thing. But we do have quite a bit of infrastructure here to support them using their laptops. Occasionally there might be a glitch, but for the most part it works very, very well. And you might notice that my classes are fairly tech heavy, so that the students who are more technology native speakers will do a little bit better. But I do have a lot of patience and I do enjoy teaching those skills as well. So hopefully by the end of this year, not only will they be really good at Spanish, they'll also be really good at just working with the computer in different languages. Obviously, I'm very into music, and so I bring a lot of music into class. Not only stuff that I play personally, but I also make them more aware of artists that sing in Spanish and other languages as well. And I'm especially interested in having them see young people that are doing covers of songs in Spanish from their own homes, from their own bedrooms. And so I think that that's really neat for them to see as well, that this is something that's alive, that people really do. We do some podcasts and things like that, things that are of general knowledge and that they might also be interested in. This year, unfortunately, we're not going to be able to receive exchange students, and we're probably not going to be sponsoring any trips abroad this year. But we might have the occasion to be able to do this virtually with other schools. We have relationships with schools all throughout Latin America and in Europe, and we will probably, very likely, have opportunities to meet with students. There are also some platforms that I'm going to be suggesting to your sons of ways that they can connect with students in other parts of the world on their own time. In terms of trips, normally we would have a trip that goes to Lima, Peru. Hopefully we'll be able to get that going, but I kind of doubt that that'll happen this summer of 2021. But generally speaking, we do have an immersion trip that goes to Lima. We have an immersion trip that goes to Spain in the springtime, but again, this year it's unlikely to happen. And then we also have mission trips that use Spanish as the primary language to Guatemala, Ecuador, Nogales, and Tapajapa. So those are some of the things that your sons might be able to do, but we're going to be investigating other opportunities that might take place virtually. And so we sometimes might need host families, but again, just stay tuned. If not this year, maybe next year we would have a need for host families. Speaking of next year, what would your son take? If he's currently taking Spanish 2, next year he'll take Spanish 3. If he's currently taking Spanish 3, next year he is really finished with the requirement, but he could take Spanish composition and conversation. He could take Spanish language and film. He could take AP Spanish language and culture, or AP Spanish literature and culture. And then I also offer a Portuguese class. This year I have 4 students. The most I've ever had in that class is 7, but we do very, very well, and it's a wonderful class. I used to live in Brazil. I have a deep affection for the Portuguese language, and I think the students that take the class are really an amazing group of kids. And so, and then there's also the opportunity to take other languages. So if a student finishes his requirement in Spanish and would like to maybe take the first year of French or German or Chinese or Latin or Greek or Portuguese, that would be an option. So I hope that this has helped you, and I look so forward to the rest of the year with your sons. Que tengan una muy buena noche. Adiós.